Right then, welcome back to another vid. I thought I'd combine a CoD Files vid, first one for ages, with a tag response vid. Now, I've been tagged by two people, that's Owen, LeBossu77 and Snestastic, and the tag is called You Can't Take It With You, which is a little bit of a macabre tag, big word, well, 7 letters, so not really that big I guess, more of an uncommon word maybe, and a bit of a doom and gloom word, because it is a bit of a doom and gloom topic, or at least one of the questions is. And that's question number 4, and I'll come to that in a minute. But I will, you know, put a positive spin on it. I'll slightly kind of change it around a little bit. And I think Owen did something similar. So what you've seen in the background, firstly, I should say, is my first ever gameplay from Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. This is on the PlayStation 4. I recorded it back in November when the game first came out. I do absolutely rubbish. I really do. It's full of errors, schoolboy errors, kills from behind as per usual. You know, that's just indicative of Call of Duty. Spawn kills, there's another one. Good timing. But here's my first ever kill. Recorded. Frozen in time for the rest of the time, quite frankly, for anyone to see. For anyone who cares. So, yeah, let's get on with the tag. So there's 4 questions. The first one is, do you struggle to buy games? The answer is no, I don't. I mean, what I do these days is I'm quite specific. Now, I mean, of course I still take the odd gamble. But I'm very specific usually, generally, with what I buy. So I never really struggle to do that, to buy games. There's always something in mind which looks interesting. I may wait for a price drop. But no, I don't struggle to buy them. One of the things I do a lot still, it's not really answering the question, or it kind of is, I guess, is I buy games in bundles. So I buy a lot in quantity, but I tend to keep the ones that I like, and the ones I'm not bothered about, just get rid of them. And especially duplicates, of course. That's useless to me. So I buy them in bundles on eBay, and you end up saving money as well that way. So, but yeah, no, I don't actually struggle to buy games. Occasionally I do go through phases where I lose a little bit of interest in gaming, but I think we all do that from time to time. But ultimately, no, I never really struggle. Even if I'm going through a phase where modern games are annoying me, there's always something old, particularly from the ST and the Amiga era, which always gets me back into buying games. So that's that. Question number 2. Have you ever regretted trading in a game? Well, I can't think of anything specific, but I do know there was a shop called Software Box that I used to trade games in all the time in the mid to late 90s. It started off with Mega Drive games, a little bit of PS1, but in particular, it would have been the N64. So I had all the classics, you know, back in the day, and I would have got rid of them all. So we're talking Mario Kart, GoldenEye, Paper Mario, Mario Party, I had everything. But back then, when I stopped playing a game, if I was bored of it, if I finished it, I just sold it. I didn't collect it. I had no interest in keeping these things. And of course, as soon as I start making YouTube vids, I start buying things and keeping them and collating them like it's some kind of addiction. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, there's far worse addictions we could have out there. So no complaints on that front. But yeah, nothing in particular, no specific games. But for the N64, I used to trade everything. And literally, if I had 2 or 3 games, let's just say GoldenEye, Mario Kart and Perfect Dark, if I had those 3 and I wanted a new game that came out, let's just say, I can't think of one, Killer Instinct, then I'd quite happily swap all 3 for the new game of Killer Instinct. And I didn't think twice about it, because why would I want to play an old game? And if I'm not using it, if I'm not playing it, why have it on the shelf? That was my mentality, which makes a lot of sense. I've gotten greedier, I guess, as we get older. It's that whole, like I said, that whole thing on YouTube, that mentality of collecting stuff, collating it, and yeah, it's a little bit, it's just greedy, isn't it, really? But, so that's that. Question number 3. If you could play a game again for the first time, knowing nothing about it, what would it be? Well, I'd have to say my very first game, which was Call of Duty. My very first game, which was Who Dares Wins. It was still a war game. Who Dares Wins on the Amstrad CPC. Now, I got an Amstrad in 86 or 87. It was the first computer I'd ever owned, and Who Dares Wins appeared on a compilation called 5-Star Hits. There were several other games on there, well, 5 altogether, 5 hits. And the first one which appealed to me was Who Dares Wins, and it was absolutely brilliant. I was blown away. I was really immersed into it. It was challenging. It was difficult, but it was challenging. And, you know, the kind of shooter thing, the World War II. So when you're a kid, 7 and 8 years of age, that's kind of interesting. And it was just a brilliant game, and it holds up on a number of 8-bit platforms. I guess the problem of going back to that game now is that I would know, obviously it's an 8-bit game, and it would be very difficult to appreciate it like I did when it first came out. But if I could go back in time and play a game, that would be one of them. I'm not sure it would be the first one every single time, but it's the first one that springs to mind when I'm doing this response vid. So yeah, Who Dares Wins 2, a brilliant game, well worth checking out. And then last but not least is the slightly doom and gloom question, which is if you could be buried with a console, what would it be? Now, Owen put a little bit of a spin on this, and he said, well, he wouldn't want to be buried because he wants to live till he's 1,000 years of age. And he talked about this theory which is knocking about, where this guy, I forget the guy's name, but he's saying that basically aging is an illness. And when you first hear it, you think that's ridiculous, but if you dwell on it, you think, well, actually, maybe it is an illness, and maybe something could be done to slow down the process or completely cure it, so we essentially live forever. So I'm going to copy Owen on that one, I think, and alright, he can be the first one to live to 1,000, but he's older than me anyway, you know, so I'll be the second one to live to 1,000. I think he's only a year older, but whatever. Well, I don't think, I know he is. He's like 78, LeBossu77, bit of a clue there. So that's that. Now I'm going to tag a few people, and I ducked out of that question a little bit. I guess if I could, let me try and give an answer. If I could go back, if there's an afterlife, or if we live in a parallel universe and all that kind of stuff, then I'd probably take the PlayStation 1. Although I wouldn't really need to, because I guess we could just buy it again, especially if it's a parallel universe. But just to go along with the question, if we couldn't buy it and we had to take one with us, if that was part of the deal, then I'd take a PlayStation 1, because that was the first era where I could go out and I could buy games, you know, whenever I wanted, because I just started working in the mid-90s, finished school, finished college, and I could go out every week or every other week and buy whatever I wanted, and it was a great time. I'd go to the football, go to gigs. The mid-90s were fantastic, so I'd say the PlayStation 1 would be my choice. Now, I'm going to tag 3 people altogether. The first person I'm going to tag is Ben Shenmuso, and he's the first one, because when I was watching Owen's vid, I was reading down the comment section, and Ben was saying that he's never tagged these days. So by saying that, he's going to be tagged. So Ben, you're the first one. Next up, let's go for Adam, that's 16-bit Brit. And I tell you what, speaking of Adams, how about Interghost? Another Adam. I know he's not done a video for a while, so yeah, if you 3 guys want to do it, absolutely no pressure. But if you like the idea of it, if you get the spare time, if you want to make another vid, then please do. Now, I don't actually know who the originator of the tag video is, which is a little bit embarrassing, but let me just tell you this. Let me just share this. I'm just going to throw it out there. Isn't it strange how I brought the tag topic up a few weeks back? Said how we're not doing tags, I made a tag, got a few responses. All of a sudden, skyrocketed. Tags everywhere. Just saying, just want to throw it out there. Probably just a coincidence. Nothing to do with me. Anyway, joking aside, it is nice to see the tag video return, so maybe you're thinking about making one. And if you are, then please do it, because it's all a bit of fun, and it's good for the community, and all the rest of it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Until my next vid, I'll see you later.